Today is the last day of our training program, and we have a session with Dr. Partha P. Sahu, who is with us. He will be speaking about labor and livelihood linkages to nutrition. He will give you a better introduction to the topic that he's going to discuss, but I'll quickly introduce Dr. Partha Sahu to you. He is an associate professor at Center for Entrepreneurship Development and Financial Inclusion. Dr. Sahu is a labor economist who has a very huge experience on enterprise and entrepreneurship development, issues on labor employment and skill, smart village initiatives, rural tourism, and homestay. So, Dr. Sahu, welcome to this session of nutrition and village planning and monitoring. You can please share your screen and start the presentation.
Okay, thank you. Let me share. So can you see the PPT?
Yeah, it's visible.
And you can hear me clearly?
Yes, yes.
Yeah. So good afternoon, friends. I thank Dr. Ruchira for this invitation. And not only for this invitation, but also starting a fresh conversation on this issue related to nutrition. I know this discussion, debate on nutrition is going on, but this is a time where these discussions should be brought to the page one in the whole rural development perspective or rural development discourse. And having said that, I could see, since this is the last day, and from the program I could gauge that you must have had wonderful session on various issues related to this nutrition goal at the village level or in the context of rural development. I was also told that it was a TOT, but still there is a diverse set of participants. Maybe few of you are from academics, few of you from training institutes, maybe some students, NGO and affiliates working closely with corporates under CSR. So I will keep that in mind when I will engage you all with my issues that I am going to speak on, so that we can better connect each other. And let me tell you that I don't have any solution to this big problem that now we are passing through, maybe related to nutrition, livelihood, employment, the kind of challenges that we have seen. And long back, Vladimir Lenin rightly said that there are decades where nothing happens, and there are weeks where decades happen. And we are passing through that phase. And within few weeks, you can see the kind of changes that we are witnessing, be it related to our economy, be it related to our society, and all countries are passing through that same, maybe at varying degree of setbacks or disadvantages, but all of us are passing through that difficult time. The larger question that I will try to address is that, is there any possibility of starting, initiating, scaling of some entrepreneurial activities or some livelihood avenues in and around nutrition goals? And you all be aware that now the whole discussion on SDG is also taking a different direction. Now they are also starting a fresh discussion, fresh debate, how these SDGs will look like after this, during this COVID. We have not yet come to the post-COVID period. We are still in the COVID period. So there is whole discussion is going on, how the SDG will look like, how countries will respond, what kind of coping strategies that different countries are designing to meet these multiple challenges, and where all of us are, no one of us are left with. So This whole nutrition or nutrition related issues are to be contextualized in the broader rural development discourse and the kind of changes that we have noticed, especially during the last 5-6 months. But the rural economy distress, agrarian crisis is there with us since last 2 decades, or you can call it 3 decades, since 1991 when we had large-scale economic reforms. But what has happened now in the last 5-6 months is that before 5-6 months we were discussing something else, and now the kind of discussion or debate has taken a complete U-turn. You must have been reading in the newspaper how India's economy has faced a negative growth rate of 23.9, and the government is claiming that we are seeing or forcing a V-shaped revival growth, but all this revival pattern or rate depend on the duration of lockdown. So we have had a pandemic-led intense and prolonged lockdown, which created all problems that we are now passing through. And you must have been discussed in earlier sessions how this livelihood opportunity has shrunk, disappeared, especially from the rural landscape, also from the urban landscape. And a lot of people has come back to rural area, and rural area, the unemployment rate is swelling. All these are going to be affect or influence this nutrition debate or nutrition discourse. And more so, the new farm bill, which was announced just a couple of days back, is also going to affect our nutrition discourse, because 80-90% of our farm are small and marginal farmer, marginal farming household. So new farm bill and the kind of provisions that has been announced in this new farm bill, I'm not going detailed discussion on that. Maybe those who are interested, they can read what are the provisions, what are the suggestions that has been raised by the government, and how it is going to affect the farming sector or the whole rural economy as a whole. But this pandemic has also brought out, let me not say positive changes, but some kind of changes which we can say good changes, because this pandemic and pandemic-led lockdown has reiterated the importance of family. A large number of people have migrated back to their destination. They are with their family now. The local economy, local activities, micro, small entrepreneur, the SHG, the rural market, they have gained a lot of importance, and they are going to play very influential role in coming days, not only in this nutrition discourse, but also in overall rural economy. And this pandemic has also taught us, given an opportunity to design all kinds of coping strategies and adaptability measures. And in this whole coping strategy and adaptability, women has played a very decisive role, because women-led household-based enterprises have really played a very significant role and have emerged as a safety net for the family. Reverse migration, I told you, it is not only a challenge, but also thrown some opportunity for us, because a large number of vibrant, skilled and unskilled youth have come back to whose skill and expertise can be exploited, can be used for the rural development or rural economic building. So the larger question is, how can we smoothen the income and consumption expenditure curve of this poor family or the poorest family in the rural areas and also in the peri-urban. Why should I telling about this peri-urban? Maybe in 2021 census, we are going to get as many as 7,000 more census towns, and those census towns are going to be our market. We cannot forget that, and we should not forget that. So that's why rural area, rural market, local economy, local entrepreneur skill, expertise is going to play a very crucial role, not only in this livelihood discourse, but also in the whole rural economy development perspective. So there are n number of entrepreneurial opportunities that can be visualized, that can be thought of. And many of the activities that I have put before you on the slide, on the screen that you can see, are closely related to nutrition. So it is important that some entrepreneurial or livelihood activities, directly or indirectly, that can be initiated, started, which will not only give the food or the crops or the vegetables to eat, but also a source of income to buy, purchase many other things which will affect our nutrition basket. So all this you can see. I am not saying that these units are not there, but these units, these entrepreneurial venues are to be leveraged. Of course, making a demand analysis, making a market analysis, or else, as we have noticed in most of the scheme-induced entrepreneurship development programs, and many of those are target-driven. So the real question of sustainability fail, and the whole idea of entrepreneurship promotion get null and void. So this and all these entrepreneurial activities that I have placed before you are also closely related to the farm sector, and more or less they have a demand in the local market, local economy. This organic input store, seed production, custom hiring sector, micro irrigation spare parts and stores. Many of you must be from rural area. You will see that even for a small activity like to repair the puncture of cycle, we sometimes go to the nearby town. So you can imagine, many of us has got Tata Sky, LED, LCD TV, but when it got to be repaired, person from urban area is visiting a rural area to get to repair them. So why not to think of entrepreneurial activity in the rural area? And now I strongly feel that the possibility has improved with the kind of reverse migration that we have seen. Then agricultural equipment servicing and transportation, procurement, logistic, thinking about alternative energy like solar. All these are very important, and it is time to think about diversifying the income portfolio of the poor family if they are wholly depending on agriculture or any single non-farm activity. It is time for us to think and suggest one more livelihood activity which will strengthen the income position of the family and the nutrition position of the family. So this poultry, dairying, livestock, horticulture, fishing are another set of activities which should be promoted, which must be promoted, and these things are going on, but we have to leverage all this. On the other side, you can see this vermicompost, vegetable nurseries, cold storage, warehousing facilities, and now you will see a lot of demand for this fumigation and sterilization services because of this pandemic and pandemic lockdown, and issues related to public health. Packaging in another area where rural area can contribute a lot. Then agri-processing, food processing units are to be promoted in a greater scale, not only for the sake of entrepreneurial promotion, but value addition activity will be taken care of. So it has got multiple advantages. Then this fodder business is a big business in rural area, feed mixing, trading units, hydroponics, and I am sure in earlier session a lot must have been talked about Nutri Garden and Kitchen Garden. So all these activities are to be promoted. They are going on either with the help of government schemes or policy, or through by other agencies like NGOs, CSR activities. All are going on, but it needs to be leveraged more and more, giving the present situation in the mind. See the whole discussion of this enterprise promotion or entrepreneurial development. Some of the things is very much relevant for this while we discuss about initiating some livelihood activities in and around nutrition. So the focus has shifted from individual attributes of an existing or aspiring entrepreneur to an ecosystem. So we have the government is also thinking in the direction. Most of their new scheme policies are well with that argument ecosystem. So there has been a constant effort is being made by the government to create an enabling environment and providing all kinds of facilities, services related to finance, marketing, technology, innovation, incubation, mentoring and handholding, training and capacity development on a single window. But it is also necessary that this whole support system need to be customized. And because this whole enterprise sector, especially in, can you please mute all participants?
Please go ahead, Partha.
Okay, thank you. So while ecosystem is important, but at the same time, we need a customized support system because our enterprise sector or the rural economy is not only huge and heterogeneous in terms of scale, size, technology use, the number of workers, the education of the entrepreneur and worker, and you can factor in a lot of attributes like that. So customized support system is very important if you are trying to promote entrepreneurship, especially in a rural area. And if we can gather who needs what at what time and provide a corresponding support system, that will be great. It is easier said than done. So then now and coming days, access to shared services will be very much important, because this small micro who has been operating at a very low scale and now they have suffered a lot. Individually, they cannot purchase big machines or computer or let's say a large quantity of raw material and all that. So if they are going to gain from the scale, they are going to gain the scale advantages, they should get access to shared services from the government or from some other agencies. So coming days, cluster development program is going to be very important, and common facility center or center where all kinds of value addition activities can be done, not only by micro, small, medium enterprises, but also SHG. So it's time to organize, to unionize them, and partnership, closely working hand in hand is going to be the mantra for the coming days. And in this process, they will not only get scale advantages, but also they have better bargaining power with their customer or their clients. So FPOs, producer companies, cooperatives are now being the new change agent or new change maker that we are going to see. And some of the things were discussed in earlier session by Dr. Surjit Vikraman. Then, as I had already said, that local economy, local talent, local market is going to be the key for reviving our rural area. So it's very important to promote local entrepreneurs. And now many young skilled persons have come back to, we can take their expertise. And as goes well with that, the government is trying to say that vocal for local or self-reliant, it gel well with that advocacy that government is trying to advocate. So then it's also time to identify some good SHG and to help them to grow, and SHG federation are to be made, like as I already said, to humanize them or to organize them in a bigger bring them to a bigger platform. And there are all kinds of skill and entrepreneurship development programs are going on, and I'm not suggesting any new skill entrepreneurship program now, but maybe we have to rethink on the kind of capacity development program that we are trying to deliver with the existing skill and entrepreneurship development program. And in the context of this pandemic and pandemic-led lockdown, we have to understand the new need, the new pain points that rural economy is going to face. We have to address those with the help of our, we have to revise or re-innovate our whole skill and entrepreneurship development programs, including the training and capacity development programs. You must have been told about this MKSP, and there is something called Farmer Field School under NRLM. All these are closely related to your nutrition and nutrition related issues. So I don't see a lot of work has been done on this Farmer Field School or even MKSP. So there may be good work being done at different corner of the country. It is time to document. It is time to identify. It is time to document those. They prepare a school of practices and draw lessons. And how can we replicate in on other different sites under different context? Of course, with making with necessary tweaking or customization. Recently, like in any other field, in the field of entrepreneurship development also, a new discussion is coming up, emerging, that is called platformization. So IT-enabled portals are being now created by the government to provide all kinds of supports. And, policies are also being announced on that platform. But given the low penetration of internet, very low use of computer, and even smartphone, we need to take a second thought how this platformization is going to be implemented and how it is going to deliver for which it is meant for. And there are a large number of activities that you can see in the GPDP guideline, and many of those are very closely linked with the nutrition outcome. So all those activities are to be identified, carry forward on a project mode. So projectization of low cost activities related to nutrition, related to sanitation. This nutrition is, if you will see as an isolated case, it is not going to solve the problem. The nutrition has to be seen, contextualized, visualized in the larger context of sanitation, public health, livelihood, and all that. Then only maybe we will try, maybe we'll be able to solve this problem related to nutrition in the rural area. So there are all kinds of activities, the low cost, no cost activities which have been listed in the GPDP guideline. And I know in this time how Gram Sabha can be organized, how GPDP are being done. We do not have adequate information about that. But whenever there is a chance, or when we start functioning normally, maybe we should relook at this activity with more enthusiasm and more conviction, identify this activity, flag up activity on GPDP and prepare an action plan that in the next 1 year we will do this or we will achieve this. So all this, including the Nutri Garden and kitchen garden that I told about. So one of the most important problems that I have identified, there are a large number of problems, of course, related to enterprise or entrepreneurship development, especially in rural area. One of the biggest problems that I have come across is that a large number of aspiring beneficiary or rural people, they are not aware of the schemes and programs of the government. So maybe this is the right time to appraise our rural people about not only about the old scheme and programs, but also the new programs, schemes that has been recently announced in response to COVID. Those are to be appraised, those are to be informed to the people, then only they can access. One example I would share with you, maybe some of you must be aware of that. There is an organization called Hak Darshak, and they are trying to address this problem, this unawareness of the various measures and unaccessibility, unable to access various schemes for whom it is meant for. So they have created a small app. In the app, if you will put some information related to maybe number of family member, age, etc., some preliminary information, then a list will pop up, which are the different schemes and programs you are eligible for. And this Hak Darshak, they are working in 5-6 states now: Rajasthan, Maharashtra, Madhya Pradesh, Andhra Pradesh, Uttar Pradesh, and Assam. Why am I informing you all that? We can take clue from this kind of initiative, and maybe we should try to get in touch with these people and see the possibility of doing replicating same in our area also. And it is not only beneficial for the BPL families beneficiary, but in this process, a cadre of women entrepreneurs are also being created, and all these are called Hak Darshak volunteer or Hak Darshak entrepreneur. These women, they have been given training and also a smartphone. They are going door to door and doing this great service for the better society. And these people are also working closely with government, corporates, and panchayat. So maybe this is one thing that we should look at and draw some lessons and explore the possibility of replicating this idea. Another small little things which is just a few months back or towards the end of 2019, it has come, which I like and I propagate, is that this SIDBI, Small Industry Development Bank of India, has created this Swavalamban Connect Kendra. Now they are working in 5 states: UP, Bihar, Jharkhand, Odisha, and Telangana. And in this Kendra, they are trying to give all kinds of help and support that they are giving, enabling aspiring entrepreneur in a 360-degree manner. And they are tapping the youth and helping them to start business. So in this Kendra, they are organizing camp, focus group discussion. They are also inviting people from banks and other agencies, and they are giving all kinds of necessary support for training, handholding support to set up and also to scale up the existing enterprises. And it's the PPP activities, you can call it. These Kendras are being run by NGOs, in some places ITIs, and also other agencies. The larger point, larger issue that we should start thinking now is to formulate a cohesive entrepreneurial strategy, which may be for, let's say, nutripreneur or entrepreneur who is doing something in and around nutrition, or call it farmpreneur or agripreneur or grampreneur, or the local people coming up as a successful entrepreneur. So our whole discussion should go in that direction. And in fact, this is the right time to initiate such discussion. Then only we can have not only long-term vision for rebuilding and reviving rural area, but whatever is needed immediately that can also be sorted out in this whole strategy. So it is important that some kind of data evidences need to be collected on skill, capabilities, and experience and potential of the local people. And data is very important at this point of time. So then only the evidence-based scheme or policy can be formulated. Then call it rural or farmpreneur or agripreneur, this has to be ensured that a coherence has to be made with the broader entrepreneurship approach or broader entrepreneurship framework. And we don't have a migration policy. So this, at this point of time, it is very important that we synergize or align. May I request participant to mute, please? Some noise is coming. So it is a time to think of synergizing an entrepreneurship policy along with migration policy. Then partnership, working hand in hand. A large number of institutions working in rural ecosystem, rural space. So we have to identify these stakeholders like private sector or SRLM or community centers, NGOs, all of these are working, and we need to put them on single platform, and then only we will be able to vision or envision a cohesive entrepreneurship strategy in rural. Supplementing with social welfare schemes is also very important. Then mentoring, counseling, advisory, handholding. This is the most important requirement that now our rural aspiring and existing entrepreneur that need. And already I have told you about this, developing different kind of curriculum, different type of modules, focusing on the need of different sections. Then what will be more important is to the connect or the link this entrepreneur, this people with all kinds of facilities, let's say finance, marketing. So as I was telling you about the platform or on a single window, if we can provide all necessary support which is needed or required or demanded by our rural people, that should be thought of. So the new thinking that I am going to put before you, may I request all participants to mute, please? Can I start?
Please start, Partha.
Thank you. So the new kind of thinking that I would like to place before you, which will be maybe relevant not only for this nutripreneur or entrepreneurship in and around the nutrition goal at the village level, but also for a whole lot of other issues in the rural area. So when we are talking about this platformization, my thinking is that, or my question before you all is that, can we think of this panchayat playing the role of the hyperlocal platform, which will connect different type of schemes, programs of the government with the people or with the beneficiary or the rural people. For example, they identified not only for a single panchayat, let's say a cluster of panchayat. And at NIRD now, a big action research project is going on, which is focusing on preparation of good quality GPDP on a cluster mode. So maybe 5-6 panchayat is a cluster, and they can play the role of hyperlocal platform. And in this process, they can identify the kind of SHG, micro, small enterprises they are operating in their panchayat or nearby 5-6 panchayat, and they identify their pain points, their needs, their constraints, and connect with the relevant agencies, schemes, and programs. And as I said, that this IT-enabled platformization is going on. So imagine for a small micro one-person solopreneur cannot have a computer, cannot have an internet or a smartphone. And behind this micro small unit, there is a family. So you can understand that. So can panchayat provide this IT facilities or ICT services to all its micro, small enterprises, including SHGs, those who are operating in that area? Panchayat cannot do alone and should not also. So there are a large number of agencies which are currently placed, stationed, and working closely with panchayat, SRLM, NGOs, maybe some CSR activities are going on. So the focus, the main idea behind putting this idea, the main focus of putting this idea before you, that I know the capacity of panchayat secretariat. They need all kinds of support, capacity development, including fund and etc. But maybe at some point of the time, we should think in this direction. And to my opinion, this is the right time, because many of you must be aware that at this critical juncture, the panchayat is running quarantine center, they are providing door to door, and they are doing all kinds of activities they were not supposed to, or they might not have thought of. So, and who has thought that the panchayat sarpanch is going to get the power of collector that the Odisha government has done? So with this background, I think maybe panchayat has to re-energize itself and can play role of hyperlocal platform to help all micro small enterprises, including SHG. And for panchayat to get peer learning from other panchayat and also from other stakeholders, a new initiative is going on. Another platform, of course, this India Panchayat Forum, where all kinds of stakeholders are going to join and get support for each other. So this kind of, then as you can see, NGO has been playing a very dominant role, not only during this pandemic time, but it has in the rural development landscape, this alternative this NGO has played a very decisive and important role in many parts of the country. And a similar platformization effort is going on. It is called Social Stock Exchange, to list all kinds of social enterprises, NGOs, and all that, so they can tap more resources from the market or from the other sources. And it will not only get fund, but also maybe transparency will improve. I also see a lot of possibility of PPP activities, public-private partnership, and it is the right time to explore that also, be it under CSR fund or from other funds. So as I said, that I do not have any concrete solutions, but these are possible areas where we can leverage, where we can start thinking to do more and more. I know some of these activities are going on. And the second point is that nutrition should not be viewed independently or in silo. It has to be contextualized, viewed, discussed in the larger development framework, be it livelihood, public health, and it is even more important to discuss in that scenario, in the context of COVID and COVID-led intense and prolonged lockdown. So all these are possibilities. A little bit good intent activities are going on, not only from the government side, but also from other partners, other agencies. It is time that all these organizations, they should come together and work hand in hand. Then only we can see a faster pace of revival, rebuilding of our rural economy. And let me close with what George Bernard Shaw has said long back. And I started with the question that is there a possibility of leveraging or expanding this kind of activities related to nutrition and nutritional goals? So GB Shaw has said, and the answer to that question, I'm not saying yes or no, but I will say, you see things and you say why, but I dream things that never were, and I say why not. So why not thinking in this direction, trying some of these things, and now no one solution is going to give us result. We have to think of a large number of solutions, and maybe one will fail, the other will deliver. So we have to think and did in this direction, be it nutritional goal or livelihood goal, all the bigger goal of reviving or reconstructing or rebuilding the rural economy. So let me close here, and I'll be very happy to take any question, comments, criticism, observations. All are welcome. Feel free to say what you'd like to say. Thank you very much for this opportunity and time. Back to Dr. Ruchira.
Thank you so much, Partha. Thank you